David Morgan with you, and I have my new t-shirt on, The Fed, the Ultimate Pyramid Scheme. And today I want to shoot another myth in the silver market at you. It has to do with silver being too bulky. And so I'm going to do a little demo here. Here's my cell phone, and here is a kilobar of silver. And this kilobar of silver and my cell phone are almost exactly the same volume. I think you can see that. This silver kilo, 32.15 ounces, troy ounces, is worth roughly $1,000 US, a little bit more than that today in early April. And my cell phone's worth about $100, so the silver's worth about 10 times as much. Yet a cell phone is really a high price for volume item. In other words, there aren't too many things that have this small a volume that you'll pay that high a price for. The cell phone, I think, was $200 or a little more than that when it was new. And an iPad is another example. I don't know the price of an iPad, but I believe the new one is over $1,000. And yet, if that iPad's volume was 100% silver, you're probably looking at $4,000, maybe $5,000 worth of value if that iPad was just a block of silver. So, is silver too bulky? Well, relative to an iPad or to an iPhone, probably not. It's much more valuable than either one of those items in the same amount of volume. But I must confess that if you look at silver versus other precious metals, then you can make the argument that silver is too bulky. This kilo bar is again $1,000 today, and then we can look at a gold bar next to it, and this gold bar right here, I'll turn it around, it's Credit Suisse. That bar is about $1,600. So it's 1.6 times as valuable, and it's denser. Gold is denser than silver. And of course, relative to the amount of value, I would say, sure, silver is bulkier than gold. Obviously, that's a fact. If you really want to go down the food chain, or I guess up the food chain, we can look at gold and platinum, two bars. They look exactly the same volume from this aspect, and I'm not sure you can see it on a webcam, but from this aspect, platinum is actually denser than gold, and gold is denser than silver. It's actually thinner, and therefore the volume is less than gold. Not by much, but it's noticeable. So the myth is that silver is too bulky, but for someone that's investing in the $10,000 range or so, that's probably a laptop computer volume in pure silver. So is that a huge volume for that kind of value? I would suggest no. Now, if we're talking in the hundreds of thousands, 100, 200, $500,000 worth of silver, you're talking some fair volume, and I admit that. But nonetheless, a lot of I'll call them average investors that are putting $10,000 or $20,000 in the metals. I think that the bulky argument really doesn't carry much weight. Excuse the pun. That's the way I see it. So it depends how you're comparing it. I mean, if you're looking at silver versus gold or platinum, is it too bulky? Yes, probably is. If you're looking at it versus anything else, there's nothing else that the average person owns unless they collect very fine art or rare coins that has this small a volume and has that much value. So it's really not too bulky when you compare it to almost any other item. It's too bulky when you compare it to other precious metals. That's tonight's update on myths in the silver market, and I'm out with the greatest Ponzi scheme.